When it comes to super late model racing, we like to say August belongs to Kentucky. Beginning at Ponderosa Speedway with the 25th Annual Pete Abel Memorial, 7,500 to win Valvoline Ironman Late Model Series. Then the crown jewel, the North-South 100 at Florence Speedway, 75,000 to win for the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series. The Paul Butterball Waters Memorial at Richmond Raceway, 20,059 to win for the Ultimate Heart of America Super Late Model Series. Then to end the month, the Harold Hargrove Memorial at Lake Cumberland Speedway, 15,000 to win for the Valvoline Ironman Late Model Series. It's true. When it comes to super late model racing, August belongs to Kentucky. August is here. This is Kentucky's Dirt Racing Podcast. Now, here's another edition of Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live, presented by Smokehouse Grill and Buffet. And welcome in, everyone, to another edition of Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live. Episode 28 here on the Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live podcast. It's kind of unbelievable to think about, but we are approaching our 1 year anniversary of the podcast here, man. Wes is he's in the middle of technical difficulties. Imagine that as we come up on 1 year, worldwide Wes Ledham having technical difficulties as we start the show. I see him going in and out. I hear all kinds of things rattling and clanking over there. I'm not sure what's going on, but Wes, you're with us right now. That's a good thing.
I fought the gremlins. I've worked on this race car all evening. I just can't get going, man. I've had technical difficulties all evening, but I'm here. That's all that matters. And it's just been a crazy busy day, but work's been busy, life's busy. But hey, we're on here tonight. It's 10 after 8, and we're on Dirt Racing in the Bluegrass Live with all of our friends and family, and we're just ready to rock and roll.
Yeah. Friends and family for sure. That's what I would call the folks who are loyal listeners and viewers of our podcast. I mean, we've got a lot of people that follow us every week and talk to people at the racetrack all the time. A couple of weeks ago, we asked, everyone to call in and tell us what makes dirt racing the greatest sport in the world, and most said it was the people, the family atmosphere at the dirt track. It's the people that make it what it is, and that's absolutely the truth. I mean, I get so much joy, man. It's just so much fun going to the track and seeing friends and people that are closer than family, a lot of them, and that's true, and that's what makes this podcast so much fun, is the people along the way, for sure.
That's exactly right. I mean, it's super cool, and we're meeting new people each and every day. New people coming on here, new people we meet at the racetracks. Man, you just can't beat it, and me and you both are having a blast doing all this, and we hope everybody enjoys it, because we're having so much fun, and we love what we're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just having a blast. Thankful for every bit of it. And this is the Bluegrass Restoration and Construction Studio. I better get that in. This segment sponsored by Dirtman Diecast. You would be able to call the Racetrack Connection hotline, but we've got so many guests lined up as far as drivers go tonight. We're not going to be taking phone calls here on this episode, but we will go to the Racetrack Connection hotline to bring some drivers on here in just a minute. Man, we've got Chris Smith and Dalton Brown, two first-time feature winners. Man, nothing, I tell you, and I've said this before, I'll keep saying it, nothing gets me more excited than seeing first-time feature winners. Man, I just love it. Love to see it. I mean, for anybody that wins. But, these guys to pick up their first feature wins, just knowing how hard they work and the sacrifices they make and the people around them make. I mean, it's just so cool to see people work hard and find that success, because that's what every driver wants and dreams about.
That's exactly right. And these two right here, both of them have worked extremely hard. Those first victories have been taken from them with just, heartbreak several different occasions, and to see them get that win, and I just hate that me and you wasn't there to witness it, but we both congratulated them that night, and man, it's just awesome, and we're just so excited and happy for them, and both of us reached out to them that night and congratulated them. So, and it's just awesome, and we're just tickled to death for both of those guys.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, it's just so cool, and glad they were able to join us here tonight. Here in just a few minutes, we'll be bringing them on here with us. But man, I talked about our new intro. Had to create. It's August, so I had to create a new intro video for our podcast. And say it all the time, but man, I'm telling you, it's the truth. When it comes to dirt racing, super late model racing, it's the truth, man. These other parts of the country, they get their time to shine. But August belongs to Kentucky. I mean, it's just big event after big event after big event. Crown Jewel with the North-South, this weekend with the Pete Abel, the Butterball at Richmond, the Harold Hargrove Memorial at Lake Cumberland. I mean, it's just jam-packed with super late model racing. If you're a super late model fan, there's not a better time than August in Kentucky.
August is it. That's the money month in Kentucky. Just crazy amount of money that these tracks are putting up the whole month of August. And Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, you and I both will be at all of these crown jewels to us, and especially the main crown jewel with the North-South 100. And just an awesome month to be a dirt racing fan in the state, around the state. But we're proud of Kentucky, especially in the month of August.
Yes, absolutely. Well, just a couple of points I wanted to highlight real quick before we move on to our driver interview portion of the show, which is definitely going to be jam-packed here tonight. But I was going to mention this last week. We didn't have a show, so this actually happened last week. But Larry Yance celebrated his 75th birthday, so late happy birthday to him at this point. But I did want to mention that real quick, Wes. I think a lot of people out there I don't think people realize the impact that Larry Yance and the Yance family have had on this sport here locally in Central Kentucky over the years. I don't know if there's anybody else out there who's had a bigger impact on our sport and done more for our sport. He's one of those guys that I would love at some point. Like I think it would be best if we take our equipment to him, just to be able to have a conversation with him, sit down with him. I mean, the stories he could tell would be some good ones. And I'd just love to sit down and talk to him and have an episode just with him at some point.
It would be one of those priceless shows, because you hit the nail on the head when you said, I mean, he's had his hand in a lot of these racetracks across the state. You look at series, you look at tires with American racers, sponsoring drivers. I mean, this man has been a huge impact on dirt racing in the bluegrass state of Kentucky. And I love just to seeing him at the tracks. And I always make it a point to go by and see him, shake his hand, tell him how much I appreciate him and what he does for our sport. And that would definitely be a special show, and one that we need to get to and to do sooner than later.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, he spent years on and off, but for the most part, being at Ponderosa Speedway. If it wasn't for Larry, he's kept that place going, for a long time. And we love Ponderosa. We saw the best race I've seen all year there just a couple of weeks ago, and just the history of it's a special place. I mean, he's been at Richmond, he's been hands-on. Brandon talks about him at Lake Cumberland, of course, and at Ponderosa and his roles there, and just what he means for the sport. I mean, I've mentioned it before. If it wasn't for Larry Yance, I mean, dirt racing in the bluegrass wouldn't be a thing. I mean, I didn't know anybody, and nobody knew me, and I walked up to have a conversation with someone someone else, and he just happened to be there. And I was telling him about what my vision was and what I wanted to do, and really didn't know who he was. And he handed me his business card and shook my hand and said, anytime you want to come to Ponderosa, the doors are open. He was the first one to really embrace what we were doing, and he's just that for dirt racing around here. And so we need to make that happen. We need to go meet up with him sometime and just take our microphones and take everything we need and record it and have a conversation with Larry Yance.
Yeah, I agree 150%. And that's just so special, many, many years ago that you and him had that interaction. And how many years ago was that? And now, it still holds true today in 2023. So, I mean, that's cool that you and him had that connection and that he, basically said, hey, I support you. Anything that he had a part in or, there at Ponderosa Speedway. So, I mean, and still today, he's been super supportive of us in everything that we've done. So that's just awesome. So, we definitely need to do that. As Clarence Belcher says, he's the man. He is.
Yeah.
Larry Yance is the man.
That is definitely for sure, Clarence. I agree with you 100%. A couple other things, like I said, a couple first-time winners. We're going to get to them on the podcast from Rockcastle this past weekend. Plus, I don't know if you saw it or not, Wes, but Alan Hackworth picked up the feature win in the KDRA Superstocks there this past weekend. That was cool to see because I mean, I love that class. I love every class, but that super stock class, I mean, there's a lot of those guys out there who, have been around the sport for a long time. Like I've watched them feel like my whole life. And, Alan's dad, senior, he used to drive an El Camino, but choke it down there. Yeah, that's what happened. That's right. It went down the wrong pipe. But I mean, and they're getting more out of that car than what they're probably capable of. Low budget, maybe not the best equipment, not the most money in the world, but they find a way throughout the years somehow. Logan Preston, so many of those guys in those classes. And that's what's cool about local racing. Guys like Alan Hackworth Jr., coming back, I think he blew a motor or something last time we were at Rockcastle, but then come back and get the win. Just cool to see.
Yeah, it is. And you mentioned those guys that we've grown up watching, race all across the state, and especially in that super stock class. Those guys, they've raced for 10, 15, 20 years, and they're still battling and having great races today. So it's definitely cool to see those guys, and cool to see Alan pick up the win on Saturday at Rockcastle.
It was for sure. I'm with you on that. Well, another thing that happened this weekend, first of all, Mud Lick Valley had another good show. They were able to get their full show in this past weekend over there. Tyler Carpenter picked up another win. Man,
put a bounty in there. He won the bounty money.
He did. Put a bounty on him. He wins the bounty. So, just crazy the amount of success. I'm sure he likes Mud Lick Valley Raceway for sure. But, they had a good show.
Nobody can beat him right now. He's unstoppable at Mud Lick Valley.
I know. Yeah, nobody can beat him. So, good for them. The other thing that happened, Thunder Mountain didn't complete any racing, but Bloomer shows up at Thunder Mountain Speedway. Out of nowhere, we start seeing pictures that Scott Bloomquist is at Thunder Mountain Speedway in Corbin, Kentucky. Just crazy.
Yeah, I was like, that is cool. He looked good. He looked healthy. He looked happy. Great to see Bloomer back at a track, wherever it's at, but especially in Corbin, Kentucky, at one of our tracks, Thunder Mountain Speedway. So, that's just cool. I don't know if that was if it was announced or if
I got some scoop.
Okay, you got the scoop.
Yeah, I got the scoop on that. Right. So, no one knew he was coming. He just showed up out of nowhere. He was there helping somebody that was in one of his cars. Lori said it was the guy that used to own Lucky 7. And so anyways, he just shows up, but said he was just happy to be there, really cool, taking pictures with everybody.
Yeah.
Borrowed one of the side-by-sides there at the track, and he said he was out there helping pack the track in, and they couldn't get him off the track, Wes. They ended up having to black flag him to get him off the track as he was out there in the side-by-side packing it in. But just hearing about all the health issues and things that he's had lately, it's pretty cool to see Scott Bloomquist at the racetrack having fun, even though he's not driving. And at Thunder Mountain in Corbin, that's even better.
Yes, I mean, I was ecstatic when I seen that. I said, how cool, for him to show up and to be helping somebody, just to be there, and people taking pictures, big smile on his face. I'm ready for him to get back healthy and get back in a race car because, Bloomquist Nation, baby. I love me some Bloomer.
You're a Bloomer fan. I know you are. We gotta get these guys on here, so we gotta wrap this up because they're gonna get tired of sitting and listening to us talk. But it's one of those things. I wonder. I'm not a Bloomquist fan. You are. More, as many boos as cheers at the track always. You see guys get toward the end of their career, and guys like Bloomquist have health issues and that sort of thing. It makes you wonder if and when he gets back into a race car. Like Jeff Gordon, some of those guys, for example, would he be one of those guys that the boos would go away, being this late in his career and making a comeback? I don't know. I almost feel like they would.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. You and I both witnessed it at the World 100 last year. He made the show through the Consi and made the World 100. And, you always get a lot of boos. I didn't hear very many boos, if any, and everybody was cheering for Bloomquist because he had drove his tail off and made the show, and the boos was for Jonathan Davenport that weekend. Everybody was booing Davenport, but now, I mean, the place went crazy when they introduced Scott Bloomquist, and I loved it. I was grinning ear to ear. The aliens had landed, and for him to make the show just tickled me to death.
Well, I was probably booing while you were cheering.
Anyways, let's. I was like, no.
Yeah, I know. Well, let's get on with the show, Wes. Enough of us just sitting here talking. Let's go ahead and get to the action here tonight. Let's go ahead. I'm going to bring on the Racetrack Connection hotline, Dalton Brown and Chris Smith. Two of our local race car drivers, the people that actually want that people actually want to hear from here on the podcast, the guys behind the wheel. Guys, first of all, thank you for coming on here with us this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Well, we got to get to first thing. I told you before the show, but I'll say it again. Congratulations on that first win. I don't think people realize just how difficult it is. I'm kind of hearing myself. It's messing with me. I'm hearing myself back. I don't know if anybody else is hearing that. I'm like talking to myself here.
We got feedback coming from one of you.
Feedback from somewhere. It ain't. Is it? Maybe we could just blame it on Wes.
No, this ain't my fault this time, I promise.
No, because I hear you too. Well, we'll just get through it. But anyways, guys, huge accomplishment. Congratulations on that first win this past weekend at Rockcastle.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Talk to us.
I wonder if one of them got it on in the background, maybe put the show on.
Mm-mm.
No.
I don't know.
No, nobody's got it on. Well, you know what? Let's just pretend we ain't hearing ourselves. We'll be all right. We'll get through it. But guys, talk to me. I'll start with you, Chris. You're the left. You're under me. You're the left side of my screen here. I'll start with you. Those closing laps there at Rockcastle, you inherited the lead there from Jimmy Robinson. Of course, you've had, I think I was up to 6 straight top 5 finishes. What were those last few laps like there at Rawcastle? Were you nervous? Were you ready to see the checkered flag? What was going on there?
That probably felt like the longest race I'd ever been in my life. I looked at the board, and it was like they wasn't counting down laps. When you leading a race like that, and the guys that's behind me, I mean, they're really good cars, and when you're leading a race with them, and you got pressure.
Yeah. No doubt. I'd imagine that's definitely the case. And counting it down, and the laps seem to not be ticking away. They seem to be going up instead of down. So I could see how that would be, knowing that you're on your way or in a good position there to pick up your first feature win. Is it one of those things that you felt confident in your race car? I mean, like I said, 6 straight top 5s. You've been running good all year since you built that new car. By the way, I said to start the show, man, that's the best view we've ever had on dirt racing in the Bluegrass Live. That's a perfect background there behind Chris Smith with that race car. But were you confident that first win was going to come with the success you've had here lately?
I mean, yeah, I've got confidence we've had several heat race wins this year, several second place finishes this year. Diamond race cars, they build a really fast car, and they've been good. And Jacoby Hines, he's been a big help. And Josh Hampton, all them guys helping throughout the year. It's really boosted my confidence.
Yeah.
That means a lot to have them guys in your corner and helping you on the car. That has to boost your confidence because those guys have been successful as well.
No, yeah. Those guys are really good, but they've been a great help this year.
Yeah, I imagine so. Well, Dalton, let's go to you, buddy. You've been you've been in this sport for a while. You've raced a little bit. I think you've had some kart racing history, but you've been in this late model thing for quite a few years now. You're a young guy. You're a lot younger than I am. But that road, you could probably tell everybody, that road's not easy, that road to Victory Lane.
No, it's like every time we would get close or feel like we had a shot at it, something would happen. We were in there with AJ Hicks a few weeks ago at Rockcastle, led a lot of them laps, and had a right rear shock break. And it's just something simple. Every time we get out front, and I was just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah. I imagine, I imagine that it's kind of, and I remember that race. That wasn't too long. You led most of those laps, man, and we're looking good, like it was going to be that night. So did that give you confidence, like going into Saturday night? Did you feel like you had a good shot at winning it there at Rockcastle?
You got to be confident every time you go, but like we would venture off and try something different or try something new. And it felt like every time we go back to our standard stuff, we was better. So we tried keeping everything at standard, and the last few weeks we've been kind of standard, and it seems like we've got a really good car right now.
That's good. Like I mentioned earlier, it's just been Heartbreak Hotel for you. Just seemed like the last couple of years. I mean, you've been right there, had a great car, with set fast time, brake track records. It didn't matter. And then something silly would happen in the feature. And like you said, I mean, you led all those laps to, AJ Hicks and then, have a problem with the right shock. So, I mean, just super cool. And we were just happy that you finally got that monkey off your back and got that first feature win.
We're hoping that maybe we got that bad luck behind us now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how many more feature wins? Give us a number. You broke the ice. You've got the first one. Starting with you here, Dalton. 2023. We've got a couple good solid months of racing left here in Central Kentucky. How many more wins we gonna see?
I hope as many as we can. I really want that crate portion of the Butterball.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, that's a
good
big one.
note to set right there. Yeah, that'd be an awesome race to win, especially with the history of that race there at Richmond. That'd be a cool one to set you goals to win that one. That'd be a special victory.
That's what we're shooting for.
What is it? What is it about the Butterball? Speaking of the I think it's the 36th annual Paul Butterball Waters Memorial. It's the longest running memorial race, second longest running memorial race behind the Ralph Latham at Florence. What is it about the Butterball that makes you want to win that one?
We went to it every year since I started, so this makes our 7th year running it. And we used to have to run with supers, and it took me 5 years to actually finally make the actual super part of it. And it wasn't even in my car when we made it. It was actually in Tyler Parsons' car. So.
All right, gotcha. Well, I think that's definitely a good goal. You know, like I've said before, I mean, I grew up in Richmond. I live in Richmond still. This is home to me, and you know, for someone who grows up around this area, the Butterball each and every year is a big deal. It's a race we all look forward to. We've got a lot of them coming up in August, so we'll be cheering for you for sure there at the Butterball coming up in the middle of August. Chris, we'll go to you, man. So, well, I'll ask you the same question I started there with Dalton. You broke the ice this past Saturday night at Rockcastle. You haven't been in a car that. How long have you been racing? First of all,
I've actually got 2.5 seasons, maybe 3 under my belt. So
okay.
Modified the only car I've ever drove. So.
Yeah, so that's not a very long time when you consider just, you know, how the difficulty level of this sport and jumping straight into an open wheel modified. I know we was talking there earlier. You said you went from mud racing to driving an open wheel modified. Not an easy thing to do, but you got it done this past weekend. Broke that ice, got that first victory. How many more are we going to see in 2023?
I'm blessed to get the one I got Saturday. Man, I hope to get as many as I can.
Yeah, well, I hope so too. Is there a particular race left on the schedule? One, you know, Dalton said the Butterball. Is there a particular race for you left on the schedule that you'd like to go out and get the win?
Man, the 5,000 win race at Rockcastle coming up would be awesome. I know it'd be a tough one, but man, that'd be an awesome race to win.
Yeah, that's
that would Cumberland Plateau.
Yeah, the Sandy Adams Memorial coming up there. Yeah, that'd definitely be a big one. I'd say there'll be a handful of open wheel modified drivers there for 5,000 to win. I'd imagine.
Oh yeah.
So
I'd
definitely
say the field will be stacked that night for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I imagine it would. Absolutely.
If you can make that race, you can say you had a good night.
I think you're right. Yeah, absolutely, and maybe the same way at the Butterball for those pro late models. So difficult challenges for sure. And well, I mean, we certainly hope both of you the best of success. You know, we're always cheering for our local Central Kentucky drivers and would love to see you have all kinds of success to finish out 2023. You know, thank you guys so much for your willingness to come on here to our podcast. If it wasn't for you all, this thing wouldn't be worth watching. So we appreciate you guys jumping on here.
No, we appreciate you having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Before we let y'all go, what's your weekend racing plans? Dalton, we'll start with you.
I think we're just going to do Rockcastle only on Saturday. We just want to go to Ponderosa, but with work schedules and as much as this stuff costs anymore, I think we're going to have to skip out on it.
Okay. How about you, Chris?
We'll be back at Rockcastle this weekend. We live a mile from the track, so it's kind of hard for us to pass up.
Yeah. You do, man. I don't know if you know this, Wes, but we pass his shop every time we go to Rockcastle.
I do. I slow down and I'm like, I need him to build me a race car. You got all kind of cars and parts and stuff sitting out there. I'm like, I find myself in one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, he's definitely. I think he could just drive the race car if he got in too bad of a pinch. He could drive the race car to Rockcastle. So that's a good position to be in, though, for sure. I do want to give you a chance, real quick, though, too, before we jump off here, guys. I'll start with you, Chris. Go ahead and thank your sponsors and give you a minute here just to let us know who helps you make this racing gig possible.
I got to thank Kentucky South Central Pools and Contracting. It's Rodney Cameron. He's been a really big help to us. He's our main sponsor. Without him, it wouldn't be possible. And Limestone Bar and Grill, Cabin Connections, Jeremy Martin. They do. If you need buildings, hit them up. Dirt Track World, John Holiday, Monty Hart, Signs and Graphics. He puts the wrap on his car every year for me. Does an amazing job. I thank my mom and dad, my mom and papa, all my family and friends and all the fans. Without them, none of us could do this.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Rock Fitness and Hinkle Race Engines. So there's a lot of people to thank. I can go on and on. Tommy Turner and Joe Turner, Chris Johnson, even Johnny Madden. He's a good buddy of mine.
It's good to have a lot of people in your corner.
Yes, it is. Takes a lot of people to make this thing possible. We want to always let y'all give them shout outs and thank them for that.
Yep. That is for sure. All right, Dalton, we'll give you that same opportunity, man. We know it takes a lot of help to get this stuff done.
Yeah, we got some really good sponsors. I want to thank Extreme Graphics, Brian there. He was the one who kind of designed all this and just done it. And Emery's Towing, 859 Off-Road, Hardline Construction, and I think that's all of them. Mom and Dad, of course, my fiance Kaylee, and my grandparents and Josh and Rita.
All right, well, awesome. Thank you to all those folks. We enjoy watching these guys, and hope to see you continue to do it for years to come, and more trips to Victory Lane in your future as well. Thank you guys for joining us here on the podcast this evening.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, guys. Good luck this weekend.
I appreciate it.
All right, Chris Smith and Dalton Brown, two first-time winners, joining us on the Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live podcast. I always enjoy talking to those drivers, giving them a chance too, man, just to speak to the fans and connect with the fans and, have that opportunity. I think it's one of those things that means a lot to our sport.
Yeah, and to see how humble them guys were, I mean, this is big for them to get their first feature win, but they're humble and hungry and ready to get back at it this weekend. Like I said earlier, just tickled to death for those guys, and just a big congratulations to them. Yep.
I'm right there with you. It's just it's awesome to see. Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break on the podcast here. Just a few short minutes, pay some bills. We'll be back with you with the Wildchild, Michael Chilton, joining us here on Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. Racetrack Connection is a social media app designed specifically for racing. On the app, you can find a track, find a driver, review and print track schedules, and use the chat feature to communicate with other fans and drivers at any event. There's even a map feature where you can locate racetracks all across the U.S., plus many other features, all for free. Download the Racetrack Connection app today. Donnie Kaufman used to say, "It's good enough to make your tongue slap your brains out, honey." That's what we think about the home cooking at Smokehouse Grill and Buffet in Berea. Choose from the delicious options on their home-style buffet and salad bar, or order from the full menu. Not to mention their desserts and some of the best breakfast you'll ever eat. We promise you'll never be disappointed with this racing family-owned business. Visit their friendly staff and grab a bite to eat. Located just off exit 77 in Berea.
Hi there, I'm Alan Feldhouse Jr., head basketball coach at Madison Central High School. Here at MCHS, we have built a winning team. I'd like to tell you about another local winning team, family-owned and operated Bluegrass Restoration and Construction. They specialize in roofing, general construction, and home maintenance services. Just like on the court, you need a team that will work together to get the job done. And that's exactly what BRC does. Give them a call at 859-353-1133. Road Tribe.
This is Worldwide West Lanham. If you're in the market for a storage building, look no further than our friends at Barton's Insulated Buildings. With nearly 30 years in business, they specialize in insulated storage buildings, mobile home underpinning, garages, and pole barns. With 2 locations at 3739 South Laurel Road in London and 3300 Cumberland Falls Highway in Corbin. Call them today at 606-528-7221 and tell them Worldwide West sent you.
That's right. Worldwide West sent you to Barton's Insulated Buildings, his first ever voiceover. Yeah. It took him like 3 tries. I said, Wes, I need this in 30 seconds or less. He said, well, can you tell me what to say? I said, sure, I'll write it out for you. I'll tell you exactly what to say. It was like 2 sentences. I said, you got to say it in 30 seconds or less. It took him 4 attempts. He finally got it back to me in that 30-second time span. So I thought you did good.
I thought I did too, even though it did take me a couple tries. It was good.
Yeah, it was good. Well, we are now joined by the Wildchild, Michael Chilton. Michael, thank you. This is your second time here on Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. So I think this is the first driver we've ever had on here 2 times.
Well, that's good, I guess. I guess that's good you have it on her twice. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it is. Out of Salvasa, Kentucky, which we talked earlier this week. He said, I got to drive up the road because my internet at the house sucks. He said, so I don't know where he's at right now. I don't know how far he had to drive.
Just about 5 minutes up the road here. Make sure I got decent signal there, but I was afraid it would drop out. So
you said at a little Amish grocery store. Give him a shout out there, Wildchild.
That's right. We're at the country covered grocery store.
There you go. Well, I tell you what.
Pick me up a couple homemade apple pies and bring them to Ponderosa on Friday.
I ordered 2, shouldn't I?
Well, I bet they do have some good apple pies, maybe a good bologna sandwich. I mean, they got all the goods at them Amish country stores. Yeah,
they sure do. That's exactly right.
Well, I mean, you're making sacrifices just to come on this podcast, man. I tell you what, right? Leaving the house and everything. I mean, driving up the road. I appreciate that. I really do.
No problem.
You know, we think a lot of you guys still. Someone told us a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember if you were there or not. With they said, if you want to get more viewers on your podcast, they said every week you should have a super late model driver. And I said, well, that sounds good, but Michael probably don't want to come on once a month. I mean, like there's only a handful of, it's like we don't have a whole bunch of super late model drivers around here, but it's good to get you on when you.
No, it's not like it used to be. Used to there was 30 super late model drivers, in the central Kentucky area. Now there's just, I don't know, 6 or 8 maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe.
That might be a little high. I don't know.
That's probably a stretch, yeah. If it wasn't for those drivers from Tennessee, Indiana, and Ohio helping us out and coming and racing, we wouldn't have that many. But it's definitely for a good regional show when those guys come down and come up, for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
It is, yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for them, our car counts would be hurting. That's for sure. Because the 4, 6, or 8 that we've got left here in Central Kentucky wouldn't put on a full field of cars, anyways. That's for certain. Well, we are in the month of Kentucky. We say August belongs to Kentucky. A lot of big super late model events, man. This is the month. If you're a super late model fan or a super late model driver, I know you're probably looking forward to getting things started in August.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you got a lot of big money races within 2 or 3 hours of the house. So it definitely helps you, and having to travel 4 and 5 hours away to catch some of these bigger shows and big money right here at the house. Definitely tracks you're familiar with. Really kind of helps boost your confidence when you go race against those guys.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I'm sure it does. I know you. I'm gonna assume that if you could win one, you'd probably pick the North South 100. I've just got a hunch. I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that would probably be it. Aside from that one, though, is there a race that you'd like to win coming up here shortly within this next
Yeah,
month?
I mean, obviously, I mean the North South because I mean it's that's a lot of money. But other than that, I would definitely go with the Butterball. We've won the Hargrove race before. It is paying $5,000 more than it did when we won, but the $20,000 at the Butterball plus the prestige of that race. I mean, I've led it 2 or 3 times and been close at the end, and I just made silly mistakes most of the time and got passed or got into a lap car or whatever. But we've been over there kind of practicing, trying out some stuff here the past couple of months, and kind of hit on something there I feel like is pretty good there. So I feel like we should have a pretty good amount of speed at Richmond for sure.
Yeah, you've looked good there in the month of June and July, and won 2 big races there. You've looked really good at Ponderosa, looked really good at Lake Cumberland. I definitely think you hit on something, and got the car in the right direction, and just had bad luck this past weekend on Sunday at Tazewell. I really think you had a top 3 car.
Yeah, I feel like we had a good car there. Just go by our heat race, I felt like I could maneuver pretty good there and it. Started third and got the second. It's just kind of been one of those freak deals. Busted a flywheel coupler that connects the crank to the drive line there, and it busted. And a lot of guys think that we broke a motor, but that wasn't the issue there.
That's good.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
We blew a set of quick change gears at Moeller 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I think maybe this is a little bit of repercussion from that, just the shock of those quick change gears busting and ripping the drive line out. I'd probably maybe stress that coupler or whatever, but it's one of those deals that you can't really catch it. I mean, unless you just replace everything every week. And I mean, who can afford to do that? So,
right.
I don't know. I guess we learned a lesson now. When we throw a drive on, we probably need to take that out and check it real good. But I'm just glad it happened at Tazewell instead of when I was leading that 7,500 Richmond on the last lap or something. I mean, there's a bright side to everything if you look at it right.
Yeah. Right. And like you and I talked about, I mean, I hated that happened in the heat race, but there's a lot of good cars got tore up in the feature. And as you and I talked, things happen quick when they happen at Tazewell, and you really ain't got a whole lot of time to react to those cars piling up in front of you. So, I guess really truthfully, you probably made it out, better, especially since you didn't blow a motor.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we watched the first couple laps of the feature there before we left, and they was carnage. Them guys wrecking and people driving over each other, and I'm just like, man, I'm glad I ain't out there. Like, we're gonna have to repair frames and uprights and A-arms and who knows what, all those body panels, everything. So, at the end of the day, it may be a blessing that we didn't make it in the feature.
Yeah,
right.
It's always look.
They was trying to win the race on first, second, third lap. I mean, I was like, they ain't even gonna get in. They can't get 5 laps in without people. They was running over each other and spinning, and it was like you said, it was carnage.
It was carnage. Tazewell can be that way. I love that place, but it ain't been the best to me. But we have won a few races there, and kind of feel like we got that place figured out. But sometimes I dread going there just because of the carnage.
Yeah, it definitely owes you a few though too.
Yeah, it owes me 1 or 2 anyway. It gave us a good one there last year, or the year before last, whenever we won that 10,000 there.
Yeah.
So it gave me back a little, but I still feel like it owes me a few.
Right. Yeah. It does.
Yeah, real quick too. Since we've got Michael Chilton on here for his annual visit to Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. If you have a question, fans on here watching, if you have a question, post those in the comments. We'll be happy to try to get to some of those. But I want to back up here for just a second, Wes. I kind of caught something that Michael said there. He said he's been practicing, and along these practice sessions that he's had here lately, he's got at least a couple of feature wins, including 7,500 to win there at Richmond. So pretty good practice sessions, I'd have to say.
Yeah, I guess that would be a pretty good practice session. Go out and make a little bit of money, and I felt like we were
Yeah.
really good that last 7,500 over there. We probably had one, the best car there. I felt like that night. We were the best car, but we had a couple things go our way and put us in position to win the race. So sometimes it's just as good to be lucky. Better be lucky than it is good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
I
exactly
think
right.
in this sport, yeah, I mean, part of it is you need things to fall your way just the same way as they don't at times.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mentioned it there just a minute ago too, but it is true. I mean, when you look at super racing, I mean, nationally, it's a weird thing because nationally, super late model racing is, I don't know, you could argue it's the best it's ever been. I mean, overall cars, competition, money, all that kind of stuff. But regionally and locally, it seems to be getting increasingly tough. You're one of the few here in our area hanging on. But I'm always just curious. I mean, honestly, how tough is it to keep doing what most people have at least locally here not able to do anymore? Super late model racing.
It's really tough. I mean, trying to work a full-time schedule, working 40, 50, 60 hours a week, finding time for, family time, squeezing it in, and then trying to get the car ready. I mean, if you're going to be competitive and, you got to work on that stuff at least 4 or 5, at least 4 nights a week. I feel like you need to be out in the garage, whether it's cleaning stuff up, maintaining tires, maintenance, and just going over, checking things. It's just a lot of work, and it takes a little bit of help. During the week, Bobby helps me out the shop, and a few other guys will stop in here and there and piddle around with us. But I mean, the main thing I think is the time it takes to do this, and then anymore the amount of money that it takes it's gotten out of hand, really.
Yeah.
Especially for like regional races. But I got some good sponsors who help out, and if it wasn't for those guys, then there's no way I could be able to do it.
Yeah, I don't know, Wes. You remember we had Mike Marlar on the podcast back during the Battle of the Bluegrass deal, and he actually mentioned you specifically, Michael. He said you really came to mind because of the amount of success that you've been able to have and continue to have, being a guy who has a business and works full time and doesn't have full time to put into a race car. But that has to make you feel, pretty proud to be able to hang on all these years and continue to be able to do what you're doing and be able to have the success that you've had.
Yeah, it's definitely satisfying, especially when, we hit on something there one night maybe and go run with those big guys, or maybe even beat a few of them when they try to come down our way. It definitely kind of boosts your confidence a little bit for sure when you outrun those guys. And I mean, because some of those guys got 3 and 4 full-time guys that literally do nothing but work on race cars 60 hours a week.
Yeah.
I mean, if I would like to have the chance, to do that at some time, but it'd also be easy to get it burned out. Some of those guys racing 100 and 130 times a year. I don't know what they're looking at this year, but I'd say some of them are going to be up in 125 to 30 race, area. And man, that's a lot of time to be on the road. And if you get to struggling, you struggle very long, and this sport can really humble you, and it can get you down. That's for sure. I mean, I've been on the ups and been on the downs. I've been on both ends of it, and it's just kind of, it's tough, but when you do run good, it's very rewarding.
Yeah. And I think something else, I can't remember if Mikey hit on it, but I know we've talked about it before. You jumped straight in a super. You've not drove anything else. You've been in a super the whole time, and that's pretty impressive. Just to roll out and say, "All right, this is what we're gonna do. We ain't gonna race a front wheel drive. We ain't gonna race a hobby stock. We ain't gonna race a bomber. We're going straight to the top. We're just gonna race a super. Let's go." And you've done it for how many years now?
I think the first time I raced a late model, I was 15. We raced those mini cups a little bit there when I was, I think, around 12 or 11 or 12. And pretty much run those, up till I was 15. Because the first late model race I run, I didn't have my license yet. I do remember that.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
when I'm 37 now, so I mean that's a long time, over 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy because like you don't hear of people going straight to Because did you know? And a lot of this is too. Like, did your dad race? I mean, was there someone in your family? Because most of these guys are like second generation. Was that the case for you?
Dad had a street stock that he raced a little bit. I guess it was actually called a road hog back then. And Timmy Yeager and a few other guys drove it, for him. He drove it a few times. It wasn't really his thing, and he owned a few cars, for those guys. And we went to the races every weekend. And then once I got into the mini cups, just one weekend, Dad was like, "You want to get a late model?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. I mean, what 15-year-old kid wouldn't want to?"
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
We went straight in it. Tore a lot of stuff up those first 2 or 3 years. I mean, a couple of my buddies like Travis that helps us out there some. They said that back in the day they used to make a running joke that Dad had a lawn care business and mowing grass must have paid awful good because I sure tore a lot up.
Yeah, well, it's worked out pretty good. Calvin Carlton says he remembers being at Ponderosa and they announced you skipped your high school prom to race that night. You remember that?
Yeah, I never went to a single high school prom. We pretty much raced every weekend, and I also didn't go to high school I graduated, but I didn't go to my graduation. We raced in Ponderosa that night.
Well, that's good to hear that you graduated. But.
Yeah, I did graduate. I just
Yeah, who needs the graduation part anyway when you're driving a super late model?
That's a waste of a couple hours. We need to race tonight, Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weather looked good that weekend. I was like, we're going racing. I ain't worried about going to graduation.
Yeah, I love it. It makes perfect sense to me. Yeah, I'll just tell you. Well, talking about the fact that you've never been in anything other than a super late model, you've had all this success, but we continue to see, and this is something I've been looking forward to asking you about. When you look at the direction of regional racing, super late model racing, you look at things like the crate late models, pro late models, whatever you want to call them, now starting to get bigger money payouts, $5,000, $3,000 to win. Seems like every weekend somewhere around here. Is that something you've ever thought about doing, or for you, would it be supers, or I'm staying at the house? I'm not driving anything but a super. It's all I've ever done, and I'm not going to a crate. What's your mindset on that?
I mean, I wouldn't want to go full-fledged, crate racing. I drove a crate car. I drove one for Tim Taylor last year at Lake Cumberland. We got one hit, and I drove once for Robbie Bennett a couple years ago, and a time or two for Jamie Stump. Just kind of, they needed somebody to drive one, and I drove it. And it was fun and all, but supers, that's kind of where my heart is. And the crates, honestly, I mean, they're just as much work as a super. I feel like, you still got, they're obviously a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
But my heart pretty much is in the supers. I mean, I don't think I'd want to go back and crate race, full time and quit supers.
Yeah.
I
got you. Makes sense. It really does. I imagine it, especially for a man that's never done anything but drive a super. And I was thinking about this from a fan's perspective. I think the thing I would miss most about super racing, I hope this will never happen, but say they cut down more and more, the thing I'd miss the most is just that sound. You know what I mean? Like just that raw power. You can't reproduce that in anything else that we have around here, man. I love that roar of a super late model.
Yeah, the sound of the supers definitely, I mean, it's one thing you really notice it outside the car, like from the fans' point. I mean, even just going and watching the crates qualify versus the supers. But when you get inside of it, you really can tell a difference. I mean, it's almost like you got earplugs in, than the super motors are.
Yeah.
And the speed is, I mean, there's quite a bit of different lap times. A lot of times the crates won't be far off of us, but just I guess the speed at the end of the straightaway in the supers is so much greater than the crates.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd imagine the way you have to drive them too, as far as just the power you have under you, the way you drive a super, being in the seat of one has to be a lot different than driving a crate.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like with the super, you probably got to have a little more finesse with the gas pedal and brake pedal. And with the crate deal, I feel like you got to have a lot more finesse with the steering wheel. You just got to be real smooth and not scrub speed, not oversteer and just try to momentum. And, you can't really bind the car up. You do have to drive them a lot different. Like I like to get up on the cushion and bounce off of it. And with the crate car, you really can't. You'll see a few get up there now, but you can't really consistently do that like you can with Super.
Yeah. I imagine that would hurt you, cause let's just say, the Wildchild likes to get up on the cushion where maybe no one else will, and push it to the edge of the track, and I guess I see what you're saying. It would be difficult to have that amount of fun in a crate as opposed to a Super.
I mean, it's still definitely fun, to run the crates, and I enjoy jumping in Tim's car and other guys' car. It's definitely fun, but. Like I say, the Super just to me is a lot more of a thrill and a challenge than the crate deal is.
Yeah, the Wildchild couldn't be as wild.
Unfortunately, a couple times he's jumped that cushion, it's bit him in the butt.
More than a couple.
You were talking about the Butterball. Wasn't it the Butterball last year? Was it the Butterball last year you were leading it there late and got up over the cushion, or was that I know it's one of those races at Richmond.
That was another race there. I passed Josh there like 2 or 3 to go. He was on the bottom, unlike him, and I was on the top and run him down and passed him down the front stretch and just overshot 3. I was carrying way too much, or overshot 1, carrying way too much speed, and there jumped the cushion.
Yeah.
And then I think the Butterball, I may have jumped the cushion in about the same spot a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
That cushion around Richmond, it gets pretty, the way that they've been prepping the track, I mean, and the features it races really good. I mean, it has 2 distinct lanes, and that cushion it's pretty gnarly and treacherous, and you can make speed if you hit it right, but you can lose a lot too if you hit it wrong.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah,
it's especially a lot of fun.
1 and 2, especially. I mean,
1 and 2 is where 3 and 4 is not bad, but 1 and 2 get such a lip on it, and it gets a little flat, and it'll really throw you in the wall if you don't get turned good.
Yeah.
But you can use it and slingshot out too.
That's
Come
right.
out of 2 and carry a lot down the back stretch.
Yeah. These last races have been a lot of fun to watch as a fan there. So I'm sure the Butterball will be more of the same. Speaking of Josh Rice, Darren Allen wants to know, you and Josh Rice 1-on-1, 20-lap shootout. Which track are you choosing?
I don't know. I would normally say like Cumberland, but here lately he's kicked my butt down there about every time we've been there. It seems like. I don't know. He's pretty damn good there. I would probably say I would probably have to take a shot at Lake Cumberland. I feel like that's probably my best track. So if I was gonna have to take him on 1-on-1 anywhere, that's where it probably would be.
Yeah.
But it would be good to beat him at his home track of Florence, though.
Right.
If you're gonna beat him, that'd be a good place to beat him for sure.
That's right.
Well, maybe not this coming weekend. We've got the Pete Abel Memorial at Ponderosa this weekend, but maybe the following weekend at the North-South. That'd be a good time to beat him and beat everybody else there. So that sounds like a good plan.
Throw a slider on the last lap to win it. That'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see. Was that last year or year before last? You started on the front row.
That was the year before last.
That's
last
year before last.
Yeah, last year we had to miss it.
Last year,
point deal.
yeah. Last year you went and raced Ironman points, but that was
I think
year
we were
before.
down like Duck River in Alabama, and sit down in there for a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Part of your thing this year has been, rearranging your schedule to be able to stay around closer to home and not miss out on opportunities like that. Am I right about that?
Yeah. I mean, just kind of probably cut back on racing a little bit this year. I haven't raced as much. We've had just a lot of other things going on at work and, this and that. And it's kind of honestly been nice not to have to race every weekend, or if you don't want to go, you can take a weekend off. But I also feel like it's allowed us to get our stuff more prepared, and when you do go to the races, you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Not burn out or tired of it or hoping it'd rain. So it makes a difference whenever you can kind of pick and choose where you want to go.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense, and I know it means a lot to you and some of the other drivers if you're not I guess having to race every single weekend, and you can pick and choose, but you can kind of say, well, I'll get to race at a certain race that maybe if you was on the road with the series, you wouldn't have got to.
Yeah.
So I know that's been good for you too.
Yeah, it's definitely been good to race around home, a lot. And they've had a lot of money around home. It's not like we've been going to $1,000 and $1,200 win shows. I mean, everything we've been going to is paid good money. So at the end of the day, I feel like it's probably a smarter decision to, like the last weekend we were kind of up in the air on whether to go to Richmond or go to Atomic. They both paid the same money, but Richmond was 2 hours closer, and so we decided to go there, and I mean it worked out. So
Yeah. Yeah, and was there a time? I mean, because there was several years there where you were not. To be honest with you, I mean, it seemed like not running because you were following series and that sort of thing, and Southern Nationals there for a while, and Spring Nationals and all that. And honestly, we didn't get to see you around home very much. It didn't seem like, and you're one of the crowd favorites around here. I mean, doing all that, going through that grind. Was there a time there where you sort of maybe you did feel burnout period?
Oh yeah, there's definitely been times where you get burnt out, especially if you get to struggling. If you're winning every weekend, then you never get burnt out. But
Yeah.
if you get a month or so of just struggling and silly stuff breaking or driving 4 or 5 hours away and it rain out and stuff like that really can burn you out. And but also back then I feel like we run that Southern Nationals and we run down south a lot. The money down there I felt like was a lot better. The payout throughout the purse was a lot better back then, as to where now like a lot of the tracks around home have got the payout where it's it's really good. So that's one reason too that we can come back home and race, just because there's more money around here to race for than there was 5 years ago, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's
I agree
good.
with that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, and that's a good thing for sure. Greg Miller wants to know who's your favorite driver to race against, local drivers and also a national driver.
Local, probably Josh Rice. We may lay on each other and slide job a little bit, but at the end of the day, we usually go have a beer and laugh it out. And he races hard. We've had a few run-ins, but nothing major. But I enjoy racing with him. When Skylar, me and Skylar's big buddies, Marler, I always enjoyed racing him just because we were buddies and joke about it, the next week on the phone. But he's not racing supers anymore, so I guess I'd have to say Josh. As far as national, you go and race against guys like Davenport, anytime you can race with those guys, it's just a thrill to be, racing with those guys. I would say probably Davenport is probably one of my favorites to race with. I haven't got to race with him. Usually I'm following him, behind him, but he would probably be the one.
I didn't think about this, but Davenport and Chilton, they've kind of got a similar look, Wes. I don't know if you've noticed it or not, but they do. They kind of favor a little bit. That makes a little bit of sense considering.
Give me some glasses. And
maybe if you get some of them glasses, you might win a couple more bigger races.
I know. Boy, when he got those glasses, he picked up, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did, man.
You see what Madden done this year. Madden had to get on the juice with the glasses too, and he started winning a couple races. So
I know it. It seemed like several guys who got glasses and they picked up speed there for a little while.
Yeah, they could actually see what they was doing.
Yeah, I just drive by touch.
Yeah. Drive by feel.
That's what I drive by touch. Yeah, see what I hit for a turn.
Well, if you had those Superman glasses, you'd probably see that cushion there at Richmond in 1 and 2 a little bit better too. You never know; it might help.
Might not be as likely to jump it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. Well, so like I said, we've got a big one coming up this weekend. I can probably answer this for you. I'm not sure, but what are your weekend plans for this weekend coming up?
Definitely gonna do Ponderosa Friday night. Saturday kind of up in the air. I kind of threw the idea of going to Duck River. I think they got a 1-day show down there on Saturday. We kind of tossed that up in the air. But Brownstown's probably my least favorite track, but they're paying $10,000 and it's not too far away from the house, so we may end up there. Saturday's kind of up in the air right now.
Okay. Well, we'll keep an eye out and see where we might find you coming Saturday, but we're definitely looking forward to seeing you at Ponderosa, 7,500 to win for Valvoline Ironman. So,
gonna be a big night. Got all three series there again, just like what Brandon ran a couple weeks ago at Lake Cumberland, and was a huge success. Great night of racing, so really looking forward to that Friday night at Ponderosa.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it too.
Yeah. Well, I'm out of fan questions, and Michael's been sitting there at the Amish Country Store he's been on here for several minutes, man. He's hung in there with us. He hung in there backstage while we were finishing up with the previous interview, so he's really been a team player. I don't have anything else, Wes, but you always accuse me of cutting you short. So you got anything else for Michael while we've got him on here?
No, I'm good. I've done my talking. I've said my piece. I feel good
Yeah.
about it tonight. Now that's sometimes a rare occasion, but I feel good tonight.
Yeah.
He'll change his mind in the morning.
Yeah, I give him the opportunity. Yeah, he ain't got nothing to say. But if I don't give him the opportunity, I never hear the end of it. He couldn't get a word in edgewise, and it's just yeah. So
we need to start. We need to start taping our post race shows because we'll stay on here after we finish the show and probably talk. I don't know, another 30 minutes or so, and that's when it really gets good.
Well, I don't know if you've ever been around Wes at the track, but trying to get trying to find the break to leave. He's always the last one at the racetrack. It's the same way on the podcast. He's the last one to leave.
Yeah, he'll try to come over and talk like, they're hollering for me on the track. I gotta jump in the car to go qualify.
Yeah, I imagine that's the way it is. Yeah, that's I know all about it. Trust me, I do. I made the mistake one time. And I promise you this will never, ever happen again. It might happen at the North-South because we're going on a trip and we'll be there for the weekend. But otherwise, it'll never happen again. I made the mistake of riding with Worldwide West to the racetrack at Tazewell. And I'm not lying to you when I say literally Hall was standing there waiting on us to lock the gates. I mean, God, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. The races ended at 10. I was starved to death, so yeah, never riding with Wes to the track again.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Don't ever do it. But anyways, I do appreciate you joining us on here for the second time. It's been fun. Always.
Glad to have you on here, or glad to be on here, and glad for what y'all do for promoting, the dirt racing around here. I mean, it needs as much promotion as it can to get fans in the stands and keep young guys interested and, new drivers coming up the ranks.
That's what it's all about, man, and we have a blast doing it and loving every second of it.
Yeah, it is. Well, real quick, we want to give you a chance, too, like we do everybody else. We want to give you a chance to thank all the people that help you continue all these years driving a super late model and providing us with all the entertainment you do.
First off, be Steve Caton Industrial Painting. He's the guy kind of behind the scenes. He don't go to races as much as he used to now that, you've got it on dirt and flow and, you guys, and you can keep up with all of it from home. But he's a big part of our deal. If it wasn't for him, there's no way we could do it. Got Dan Deaton at Bluegrass Radiator. If anybody needs any kind of radiator for anything, whether it's a generator or a car, anything, he can hook you up. He's a heck of a good guy. You got my little trucking deal, MKC Transport. Rick Purvis Builders, he's been a big deal this year. He's helped us out a whole lot. And Bobby at Urban Enterprises, he keeps the decking and quarter panels and right front suspension, all the stuff I knock off. He helps me get it all back on during the week or between the heat race and the feature. Hills Truck Repair, CNC Ready Mix, Set in Stone Granite Countertops out of Nicholasville, Buddha Burt Transmissions, Parkview Home Center, Excess Power, Hoosier, Kurt, Mark, and all the guys up at Rocket. They've really helped us kind of get our program lined out here lately and hit on some stuff. Wayne Bowen Racing Supplies, DC Customs, SFB Performance, Slicker Graphics, my wife Kristen for allowing me to get out in the shop and work on this thing, and she enjoys going just as much as I do. So big thanks to her and the kids. It's kind of a family deal, and we all enjoy going. So that definitely helped out. And thank all the fans. If it wasn't for the fans, then they pay the purses, so we couldn't do this if it wasn't for them. So the more of them we get in the stands, the more the drivers get to take home at the end of the day.
Yep. Ain't that the truth, man? That's absolutely the truth. So, well, again,
packed out.
Yeah, keep them. Yeah. I know, man. I like to see another crowd on Friday night like we saw at that World of Outlaws race a couple of weeks ago. Gosh, that was an awesome crowd. At least close to it.
They just kept coming in. I mean, it was standing room only. The infield was full.
It was pretty full.
It was, and it just it just had that. It had that north south 100 feel at Florence. It really did. And I've
Yeah,
talked to a lot of people.
there was a lot of people there. It did have a good overall feel there.
Yeah, and a great race. And for Mikey to come from 22nd to first, he put on a show.
Yeah, he did. Because I went there and watched the B main. I'm like, man, Mikey is struggling. Like,
Struggle.
I never dreamed he like come flying by me 50 mile an hour faster than anybody. I'm like, this dude's gonna win. There's no way he's not as fast as he's going. His car was really good that night, and I was glad to see. It's kind of the hometown guy get to win there.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
And he struggled in hot laps. He struggled in qualifying. He was awful in his heat. I mean, barely transferred in the B. I think he run third, and I'm like, what's wrong with Mikey? He's garbage tonight. I told him after the race, and the next, even on Sunday, we saw him again at Rockcastle, and I was like, man, this is just crazy. And he said, we just put our head down, went to work on it. The guys just got it right for the feature time. And I was like, you sucked all night. But I said, when it counted, you made it work. And
he's like, yeah, I know, Wes. I got to get lined up. They're calling for the feature. Just
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me I suck. I'm going out here for this feature. Get out of my way.
I didn't talk to him before the race, but if you want me to take credit for him, putting on the show, I will.
Yeah.
No, it was good to see, and just a heck of a race, though, man. Just the atmosphere was great. The racing, hats off to Brandon and Larry. The track was just, it was in great shape, and just a good fun night on a Friday night.
Yep, it was a good night.
Yeah, it was. All right. Well, we'll fight. We'll let him go. He's in the Amish, coming to us live from the Amish Country Store parking lot. One of the best. Michael, we appreciate you coming on here. Good luck Friday night, and we'll see you at Ponderosa.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. We'll see y'all Friday night.
All right.
Thank you,
problem.
Michael. Good luck,
Thanks.
buddy.
Thanks.
All right, the Wildchild, Michael Chilton, man. I tell you, I mean, just one of the nicest guys that you'll ever meet. Always willing, no matter what. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's ever said no to anything we've ever, asked of him. I mean, he's just always willing to talk, and I know he said he's had times where he's kind of been down or whatever, but you'd never know it because he's always, like I said, seems happy and willing to talk for a minute, even if he's got to get lined up for the heat race. That's exactly just who
right.
he is.
Michael, he's always been good. He's been somebody that I've followed the entire time that I've watched racing, and one that I've talked to throughout the years, and he's somebody I'd call a friend, and just always really enjoyed him and his family at the racetrack, and always talking to them throughout the years and continuing to do so. So good luck to him on Friday night.
Yeah, I know. Howard and Howard Daniel and Larry Yance have that. Howard told us here in the comments. He said he and Larry have that racetrack ready. The pond is ready. So I know it'll be ready come Friday night. So really looking forward to that. Like you said, not only 7,500 to win for the Valvoline Ironman Late Model Series, but just like at Lake Cumberland a few weeks ago, 3 series. All in one night. You got that. You got American All-Stars, Pro Late Model Series. Always fun to watch, man. Like I really enjoy that series. They were at Lake Cumberland 2 weeks ago when we were there announcing, which we didn't even have a podcast last week. We forgot to talk about our debut, Wes, as dirt track announcers. But anyways, they're going to be there again. Bruce Built Modified Series. So Friday night, this coming Friday night, Ponderosa. It's going to be a big night.
Up to 1,000 to win now. Hobby stocks, I believe I saw that. So just going to be a great night of racing. everybody come out and support Ponderosa on Friday night.
Yeah, and other events, we'll get to those in just a minute. But since that we brought that up, we got to talk about it for just a minute because I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, everything I've done, almost everything you can do at a racetrack besides own one, and I don't think I want to do that. Okay, but I've done just about everything else, and everything I do gives me a greater appreciation for what these folks do each and every weekend to make this sport possible. You know, being an announcer, you're like, that'd be cool. And it was so much fun. I'm telling you, I had a blast.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But one, being able to talk for 6 straight hours and like have something to say. Like there's times where I'm like, I don't have anything else to say. Like I don't have anything else to say. Like there's cars going around the track, like what else am I going to say? And then having the information available to you, like who sponsors, what's the car number, what's the lap time, all this stuff, trying to be on top of all that. It's just crazy, and I was not very good at it. Like I think it's one of those, you'd have to do it several times before you'd really get the hang of it. So it gives you a good appreciation for those guys that do it and do it well. Because there's a lot going on.
That's exactly right, and it was just really cool, and we're so thankful that we were able to get that opportunity. We just want to thank Brandon and Brian and everybody at Lake Cumberland Speedway. We had an absolute blast doing that, and it does give you such an appreciation and just to see what these guys do week in and week out. And, but it was cool to be able to, to announce and do all the victory lane interviews. And it was just so much fun. And we're just so thankful that we got to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So a couple of things that was funny, man. I got to talk about this a little bit, just behind the scenes. And I know we've been on here for a while. We're going to get to.
It's all good.
We still got a weekend outlook. Talk about the events coming up and pick the winners. We got to do that too. But
live top 5.
Just a couple.
We got a lot still to do.
Well, yeah, we got a lot. But Live's top 5. Blame me. We're not going to have Live's top 5 this week because I didn't get. Wes did his part. I didn't do my part, so we'll do that next week. But anyways, so a couple of things that is funny. So we're out, first thing, Wes is in the pits interviewing drivers. I'm up here trying to talk to him. And this goes on for like 20 minutes, and I'm talking to people about what they're bringing, concession stand food they've got there with them, and I don't know, I'm just going on and on, waiting for Wes to find a driver to interview because we wanted to interview some drivers pre-race. And I'm waiting on him. He says he was waiting on me to shut up so he could finally start talking. Well, I didn't realize that. Well, while all this is going on, my phone's in the booth playing music, and finally Brandon Hargrove stops in the pack truck coming around the track, and he says, Josh, look at your phone. So he's been trying to get a hold of me, and turns out he says driver's meeting is in 5 minutes. I'm sure you've told everybody they need to be at the driver's meeting in 5 minutes, right? And I'm like, yeah, of course we've told people 5 minutes driver's meeting. And he's like, we need the makeup features on the track. You've already said those lineups, right? And I'm like, yeah, we said it. No, we hadn't said a single thing. We've been wasting this whole time trying to find drivers to interview. So, not a good start to the day, I would say.
No, but it was funny, and then like you said, what he told you to be quiet. He's trying to get through his driver's meeting.
Yeah, Greg Hensley brings that up. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what else to say, but I'm thinking you just got to keep talking, right? Because that's what announcers do. So the whole time I'm just going to sit here, and this is early on. I'm just going to keep talking. I've got something else to say, so I start talking, sponsors or whatever. And finally Brandon calls me and he's like, hey, can you be quiet for just a minute so I can get through this driver's meeting? So I didn't realize he couldn't hear over me talking, standing there doing the driver's meeting, It's just rookie mistakes, man. What can you say?
Hey, listen, that was officially our first rodeo, so we're learning. We'll be better the next time. If our number's called again, it may not be. I don't know. But
It may not be.
if it is, we'll be a whole lot better. I guarantee that.
Yeah, and Brandon was appreciative, and he's a lot of fun too. I mean, he's a lot of fun, and he had fun with us being there, and but he did have to direct us rookies just a little bit to make sure we did the things that really needed to happen for the show to be able to go on. So,
Yeah.
All right, weekend outlook. Let's get back to it. Thunder Mountain Speedway, they were rained out last weekend. They're running, I believe, it's bigger pay in every class this coming weekend. Look on their Facebook page. You can see all the information for their event coming up this weekend there at Thunder Mountain Speedway. Check them out. Also, Rockcastle Speedway. This will be the only race. I haven't looked at other track schedules. I saw them post earlier that this would be the only race at Rockcastle for the month of August, with all the big events coming up around the state. It was really the only time they could fit one in August. So a big September coming up there, but they're running this Saturday night. Be the only time in August. Mudlick had to cancel their event. They're doing some extensive work to that track, so they're not running this Saturday. I believe that's it, Wes. Ponderosa, Thunder Mountain, and Rockcastle. So
Yeah, I believe so. And like Michael mentioned, we've got I know Brownstown has added a 10,000 win super race there at Brownstown. So that's kind of good. I know a lot of people love Brownstown Speedway. So and then Duck River, that's a haul. Oh, Ducktonia. Yeah. I think it's their deep fried 75.
Yeah, we're not worried about Duck River, Wes. That's not in Kentucky. Why that's what, like southwestern Tennessee.
I've been there. It's a haul from Duck River to Maryville. So Duck River to Smoky Mountain Speedway, you're driving from one end of Tennessee to the other. I've done it. I watched them 2 World of Outlaws events and didn't realize they were that far apart. But that's a haul. Yeah. But anyway, now we ain't worried about them. We're worried about racing in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right. Dirt racing in the bluegrass. That's what we're all about here. But anyways, no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, go to Rockcastle, Thunder Mountain. Much shorter trip than Duck River. And it'll be a fun show. And then, like I said, Friday night for the Pete Abel Memorial. It'll be a big one as well. Well, let's pick the winners real quick, Wes. This is the first time we've had a podcast where I am so excited to announce. First time in the history of our podcast. We're coming up on our 1-year anniversary, and I am leading the steak dinner challenge. I'm up 6-5.
6-5.
That's right. I've got the lead on Worldwide West for the first time ever. So, I picked AJ Smith to win the Hobby Stock feature at Rockcastle a couple weeks ago, and I picked again Zach Seiss the night we were there announcing at Lake Cumberland to win the American All-Star feature. So, there you go. I'm up 6-5. So this week on the podcast, you get first pick, Wes. Let's pick the winners. Valvoline Ironman late models at Ponderosa. Friday night, who you got?
I'm going with the World of Outlaws victor a couple weeks ago. I'm going with the Winfield Warrior Mike Marlar to win that race.
That's really, I mean, I give you first pick, and look what you do. That's a good pick. I'm not going to say what I said a couple weeks ago when I said that was a terrible pick, and Bobby Pierce almost won the thing. I was really, I was sweating that one there, closing laps, saying, "Come on, Mikey, come on, Mikey, you get." Please.
Which I was good. I picked Bobby. I was like, "Come on, Mikey, come on."
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's worth a steak dinner to see him win that race. But we'd like to get Bobby Pierce on the podcast for the North South 100. So had he won it, we would have been, that'd have been okay too. We wouldn't have been hating or anything like that. So, but yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. So I think I'm going to go with. I haven't picked him all year. You've picked him a couple times, Wes. I don't remember that it's worked out all that well, but I'm going to pick him this time. Michael Chilton. He's been running good here lately. Had bad luck there at Tazewell this past weekend, but I think he gets it done this Friday night at Ponderosa.
That's a really good pick. He's had a couple good months here of late. Like he said there earlier, he's hit on a couple things. He's practiced a lot. He's won a lot of money during these little practice sessions. He's got something figured out, and it's going to be a really good race on Friday night. A lot of heavy hitters expected, and should have a really good field of cars. Just really, really looking forward to it. Going to be an awesome night, and just I can't stress enough. Everybody come out on Friday night. This pack Kentucky's baddest bull ring, Ponderosa Speedway. Everybody show up.
Yeah. And Saturday night, too, for Thunder Mountain and Rockcastle. You know, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get out and support these racetracks, man. They work hard. They put in hours upon hours of work each and every week, all day, every day, preparing, planning, all night. Yeah. Getting these racetracks ready. So get out and support these racetracks this weekend. Big month this month, man. August. This is our month. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Thank you all for tuning in here. August belongs to Kentucky on Dirt Racing and the Bluegrass Live. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to our sponsors, Smokehouse Grill and Buffet, Racetrack Connection, Bluegrass Restoration and Construction, The Detail Shop, Extreme Style Signs and Graphics, Fast Track Racing Series, Ultimate Heart of America Super Late Model Series, Dirtman Diecast, CT Promotions, Mud Lick Valley Raceway, Richmond Raceway, Rockcastle Speedway, Thunder Mountain Speedway, Lake Cumberland Speedway, Ponderosa Speedway, Ironman, Valvoline Ironman Late Model Series, and the Bruce Built Performance Ironman Modified Series, and Barton's Insulated Storage Buildings. So we appreciate every one of those sponsors who help us out. Thank you to all of you fans for tuning in here with us tonight to kick off the month of August. We're looking forward to Friday and Saturday night this week. Let's get out and support these racetracks, and we will see you all at the races.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night.